For active transport to occur, there needs to be energy. The energy produced allows the transport protein to move a substance against its concentration granted. It is important during this process the protein moves from where it is less concentrated to where it is more concentrated. In the picture below, energy from the ATP allows the tiny blue circle, which is the transport protein, to move against the concentration granted. You can see on the left side of the image where the transport protein starts, it is less concentrated, while on the right side, after it moves against the concentration granted, it will be more concentrated.
What cell does active transport take place in? Animal cells. The sodium-potassium pump uses active transport to exchange sodium ions and potassium ions across the animal cell membrane. The sodium-potassium pump is an example of active transport because the energy is required to move the sodium and potassium ions. There are so many proteins embedded in the cell lipids bilayers, and they do a lot of work. They cross the membrane and it splits parts up inside and outside.
For a function like active transport to perform properly, cells need certain things. Cells must have high concentrations of potassium and low concentrations of sodium. In this process, energy is needed as well, and this energy usually comes from ATP. ATP powers this process by binding to a transport protein and transferring a phosphate group to a carrier protein. This allows the protein to change shape so the molecule can move to the other side of the membrane.
There are two processes of active transport, the first one being primary active transport. ATP will attach to protein in this process as well as will sodium and potassium. When ATP transfers phosphate to protein, there will be changes in the shape of sodium while it travels across the membrane, and then when phosphate releases, the shape of potassium will then alter while it's traveling into the cytoplasm. And a key factor of primary active transport is that energy is a main source. However, in secondary active transport, energy is not, because there is the use of stored energy within gradients. This process also includes the sodium-potassium pump cycle as well as the production of membrane potential, and will factor either into a symport or antiporter based on the direction of the molecules. A symport is when the molecules are facing in the same direction, while an antiporter is when the molecules are facing in a different direction. After exploring the process of both primary and secondary active transport, it is also pivotal to understand the importance of active transport itself. So, the assistance of carrier protons for active transport can ultimately factor when conformation in ATP hydrolysis occurs, and it is also important to balance the right amount of concentration of ions and molecules in living cells, as well as energy, for it is a main source.
Everyone should have a basic knowledge of science as it occurs in everyday life. Science has helped find cures for certain illnesses and viruses. Without science, life wouldn't be what it is today. Science is used in everyday life whether we believe it is or not. Plants, animals, and humans are impacted by science every single day. Modern Biology 1 is able to help students learn more about the basic laws of science while working on their degree in college. Modern Biology 1 is intended for those who are not majoring in a science subject and are wanting to learn more about the rules and attractions of what makes science science. The class is structured with great lessons and understanding with a great professor.